here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sam Dobie hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a little. A 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
You know, Formula One raced at a lot of daunting circuits back in the day that would not be considered suitable for the modern Formula One cars of today. However, Bathurst was not one of those, and so who knows what to expect here for the 6th round of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. Well, let's find out. Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Nicholas Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yamin and he's doing all the button pushing using camera sets provided as always by Dougie Beard. Nick, after several rounds at traditional Grand Prix courses to open the season, the series has found itself at some tricky circuits recently that normally we wouldn't see on an F1 schedule, and Bathurst is definitely one of those. What is it about this place that really makes it stand out?
Yeah, Sam, today the drivers will have to tackle 23 whopping turns, none of which are at all easy. Whether it's a blind corner in between very close walls or a fast overtaking opportunity after a long straightaway, like turns 2 and 20, drivers will have to put the beautiful mountaintop vistas behind them and focus on the 6.2 kilometers, or 4 miles, ahead of them. Located in Bathurst, New South Wales, the Mount Panorama circuit features elevation changes of more than 170 meters, or 570 feet. And anytime you have a track with turns called the Dipper, the Chase, and even Hell Corner, you know it's going to be a good one. The best way to see just how terrifyingly difficult this track is to strap you down in one of those race cars and take a lap round with the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Bathurst. Coming down to Hell Corner, getting the exit off of here will be critical. It's a simple 90-degree bend, but because of the long run up the mountain straight, being able to find traction quickly and confidently will make or break lap times. On top of that, the Lotus tends to punch a big hole in the air at high speeds, which will lead to some draft battles throughout the race. That'll make this not just a race of attrition, but of strategy as well. Heading up to the braking for Griffins, even though this will probably be a popular passing spot, going through here too wide can prove tricky. And the danger doesn't stop there. The cutting is very much single file with the kink in the braking, so get it sorted out before you chuck it in here. Coming off the corner, you can see it gets incredibly steep now that we're well into the mountain. Be careful with the throttle around Quarry since there's bumps that can easily spin you into the concrete walls on either side. You'll need a big lift to thread it through Frog Hollow, and then across the top there's more throttle modulation needed to navigate the fast left-hand sweepers. Finally, into McPhillippi Park, watch out for the curb on the right because it'll end a lot of drivers' days before you can even blink. After that, swing it through Skyline and slow up the car carefully while you weave through the S's. Ideally, you want to set yourself up for the Dipper, but always keep an eye out for yellow flags since track blockages are a real problem through here. Back on the power, you don't have much time before Forest Elbow. Try your best to keep the car off to the right in this steeply downhill braking zone. And then, much like the first quarter, being able to put the power down is essential. You've now come to the Conrod Straight, and the car is going to be absolutely flying along this part of the track. Yet more drafting will keep the racing close, but the big difference here is you're going to have to contend with the Chase. Though the kink will be easy with the ground effect sucking the car to the pavement, the braking for the left-hander will be a big old game of chicken. Who's braver on the brakes will probably decide a lot of battles. Watch the crest coming out of here because it likes to make the car understeer. Then, finally, there's one more turn to go with Murray's Corner. Make sure to keep off that inside curb because it's known for upsetting the car's balance. From there, if you kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Bathurst.
So the drivers are going to have to do that 23 times today, and a lot of drivers. We actually have a 35-car field. There are some names out here we're not familiar with. There's some names out here some of the drivers are not going to be familiar with. But there are some names that we are quite familiar with. And let's have a look at some of those bigger names so far this season. And now that we are 5 rounds into the season, these points are reflecting 1 of 4 drop weeks that these drivers will have by the end of the year. And you see when we do that, Nuno Moreira is up in first place in the standings ahead of Matt Wood. A massive points gap over Wood, though, 138 points back. Adam Fraser, who was the points leader, I take it before we take these drop weeks into effect, taken 1 drop week into effect, it moves him back down to 3rd in the standings, but you can see he's definitely still within striking range. Mitchell Vandenberg and Pablo Lombuera Suarez rounding out the top 5. Very early in the season, the points are quite a bit spread out, but a long ways to go for drivers to make their way back up into the top 5 in the standings. So let's have a look at the team standings as well. And there we see the Equipe Talbot Gitans team continues to lead the team championship as they have done all season long, even when we take a drop week into account. Not a massive points lead though over Marlboro McLaren International, as well as the Renault team, Williams and Parmalee Racing team rounding out the top 5 on the standings. You see how close it is actually from 2nd to 5th there. But again, a long ways to go. Now talking about a long ways to go, Nicholas, we are in for a long race today.
Oh, absolutely. It is halfway mark for the season. It is round 6 of 12, like you mentioned earlier. Now, remember that, like you said, the drivers do get 4 drop weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them have to use Bathurst as one of them. This is an official iRacing series with iRacing points, and 23 laps today. It is not short or easy at all. As always, we'll be using the open setups. No pit stops should be required. The drivers will also have the traditional incident limit of 17. I'm not sure if we're going to see many off tracks today, though. A lot of parts of this track, if you're off track, you're probably in the wall.
Yeah, and the other daunting task for these drivers today, Nicholas, is we are right at the limit of how many cars we can fit into one race. iRacing splits the official Lotus 79 series races when we get 36 cars sign up for a race. It'll put 18 cars into a top split, 18 cars into a bottom split. It does not split when we have 35 cars sign up for a race. And guess what? We've got 35 cars signed up for this one.
Yeah, of course, that fate would have it that way, that maybe the tightest racetrack and maybe the most difficult, the most chaos ensued racetrack. Of course, we'll have the one split, the 35 cars here today.
But yeah, it is still the big names making it to the top of the scoreboard in qualifying right now. Gernot Frisch on provisional pole, actually 0.4 of a second advantage over Juha Novolampi. Nuno Moreira is lined up 3rd alongside Mitchell Vandenberg. Still a bit of time left to play in qualifying. But right now, iRacing showing that the system works because numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4 are in positions 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's a real test of skill there. I'm interested to see if you're going to want to be up there for this race. It's a long race. I mean, 2-minute laps, 23 laps, that's a lot of racing to do at one of the most treacherous tracks. I'm interested to see if they're going to want to be up there, if they're going to want to be further back to avoid some possible incidents.
Watching the driver chat right now, it seems Mark Pickford, who is normally a top contender, he's down there 15th on the board, and I think one of his hot laps didn't count because he had a 0x craze in one of many close walls around this circuit. Now we ride on board Jean-Francois Maté, who's actually lined up right behind Pickford right now. He's in 17th, and actually he's done his 2-time laps. I have a feeling he's just getting a bit more of a taste of a course out here right now. Hey, here's Barry West. Good to see him back. He missed the opening few rounds. He's been at the last couple of rounds. Let's see what Mr. West can do today.
Yeah, you mentioned it, the 0x that Mark Pickford had there on one of his laps. That's just the thing. I mean, going down through the S's and the dipper and even going up into the mountain, I mean, the walls are just right there, and even though you might not pick up any damage, you might clip them and slow you down a little bit.
All right, well, qualifying's about to wrap up, and you know what? They're going to have 2 minutes to grid 35 cars before we go racing from a standing start here. So we're going to start reading out the grid right now, very quickly. Let's knock this out. Gernot Friescher starting on pole ahead of Nora Lampi. Moreira and Vandenberg will round out row number 2. Adam Fraser and Sergio Fernandez are on the 3rd row. Stefan Beluca will be starting from 7th ahead of Julian Fleuret. John Stevens and Braden Cohen round out the top 10.
Yeah, Ove Tangerade in 11th and Charles Eric Lemelin in 12th. Sean Wiltshire behind him in 13th, and Peter Kozinitsky in 14th. Pablo Lumbreas Suarez there, and Mark Pickford, who we mentioned that he's going to be starting 16th today. Jean-Francois Matt in 17th, and Paolo Albertin in 18th. And behind them, Philip Lake and Pepe Martinez.
Barry West will be starting all the way back in 21st position, such as the talent of his field, ahead of Luke Kin in 22nd. Joni Anella will be starting in 23rd, alongside him Glenn Corrigton. Steve Salas starting from 25th place, and then Francisco Javier Gutierrez 26th. Fabio Guerrero will be starting behind him, alongside Johnny Bell, and Russell Hamilton and Lauren Doolittle were the last 2 drivers to turn times.
Yeah, and then the last 5 drivers there are the ones that did not have a qualifying lap. Eric Smith in the 13 car, Oli Printon, Trevor Kelly, John Hauser, and Duncan McClellan going to round out the 35 car field today. And
as we mentioned, I think all the drivers are going to use all of these 2 minutes of gridding time to get gridded up here, because I also wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers elect to start from the pits. When you have a field this big and you know, a track this treacherous, I'm sure we're still going to see a great battle up front, but in the middle of the field, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a race of attrition and there'll be some big movers coming from the back, hopefully finishing up in the top 10 by the time the checkered flag falls. That's in 23 laps from now, though. Let's race them down into hell, because the 2 minutes are up. You've made your bets. You're starting from the grid or starting from the pits. Trevor Kelly already in his pit still. Gernot Frisch in the pole position slot, and the lights are off and away they go. Nice start by Frisch. Nora Lampi will likely have to filter into second if he can even hold on to that, because he's got pressure from inside from Nuno Moreira as they work their way out of hell and down the straight.
it's just a freight train going up the mountain right now, but very clean first turn. I'm very surprised to see that. It might have been some contact back there, but for the most part, very clean and very conservative right now.
Nora Lampi has moved his way up into, well, no, sorry, he remains in second position. My bad. Gernot Frisch obviously continues to lead the race as they work their way up the mountain, and this goes on for several more corners. Then they get over the crest, the cars start to get light, and then you really have to dance your way between the walls on these cold tyres and heavy fuel loads. Remember, no refueling in these cars. Very cautious times for these drivers here, but at the same time, opportunities to make up positions.
Yeah, down into the S's they go, all going towards the dipper. It is just treacherous and chaotic, but it looks like they're all racing very nicely, playing well with each other right now, going down through them.
And now they come out of Forest Elbow and the race changes down the Conrad Straight. Have you been patient so far? Now you might have a chance for it to pay off with a slipstream using the draft on the car in front of you. Maybe we'll see some ambitious passes into the chase down here. Mark Pickford already announcing over the track that he's going to be pitting at the end of the first lap. Things definitely not going to plan for him. But here the leaders come into the chase. They're all still single file. But let's see if we got any side-by-side battles back in the field. Ove Chandray gets hit by Peter Koniski. And that was a battle for 11th that went south. Very late pass attempt here.
Yeah, that one, that was a tough one. I mean, he had the run. He didn't want to let off lap one. You might not get many more opportunities, but he went for it, and it didn't quite pay off for him there.
almost wonder if Kaniski missed his braking point, but Ove Trandre, I'm sure, is not going to be pleased with that one at all. It's really the biggest drama we've seen on the opening lap. All these drivers have been quite patient. A warm track temperature out here today, 107 degrees Fahrenheit, so maybe these cars are able to get up to temperature quite quickly, help these guys out a bit.
Yeah, these Lotus 79s, they have big, wide tires, and when they are cold going through these tight turns, it is just not fun. You're slipping and sliding your way through there, and hopefully you don't have anyone to your inside or outside when you're doing that.
So at the end of lap 1 of 23, the top 5 remain in the positions they started. Stefan Beluca actually made up a spot from the start. He went from 7th to 6th. Braden Cohen, even more impressive, went from 10th to 8th on the opening lap.
Downhill once again. Prix is going to have he had a gap. He had that much of a gap last time. They weren't able to close in on him, but I do wonder how much these drivers are holding back. We're only on lap 2, and it's a long race, so if you can keep the leaders in sight, you might just be able to reel them in late in the race.
Yes, it's such as the effect of the slipstream that you're going to get on down the back straight there. And also, let's not forget, these drivers aren't going to have to deal with a heck of a lot of lap traffic. It's a 2-minute long lap around here. So the drivers would really have to be off the pace or get involved in an incident to see the leaders coming up behind them.
Yeah, I don't see that being an issue, but they'll have other issues to do. Oh.
Pablo Alberton, trouble in the final corner. Is this a solo spin? Yeah, lost under braking.
Yeah, there's those cold tires we were talking about, it looks like.
Now you see all the drivers tucked up right behind each other on down to that run towards the second turn, and now we got about a second. And as a matter of fact, Marira's already taken the spot from Nora Lampe. So Vandenberg still rides in fourth behind him. Let's see how this happened. Yeah, bit of wheel spin.
Not normally a part of the track we see overtaking in, but he was able to capitalize on that and get around him cleanly.
So, it changes our podium right now with Prix continuing to lead. Obviously, in fact, this helps Prix build up a bit more of a lead.
Yeah, Moreira just lost second, but he's also got Vandenberg right on his tail and coming down the straightaway. I'm surprised Vandenberg didn't get more of a run on him, but he's definitely got him in his sights, though.
So behind them, Adam Fraser has been having a quiet race so far, rounding out the top 5 in 5th position. Top 10 really seem to have spread out. In fact, even the top 20 is a little bit calm. From 19th on back, it gets a bit wild. Joni Ornella holding off a pack of hungry cars there. Pepe Vasquez Martinez running 20th ahead of Paulo Alberton, who we saw have that spin, and Steve Salas.
Yeah, the lap 1 chaos, it always takes longest to calm down the further you go back in the field, and this is case in point right here. All of these guys racing for the top 20 here. Oh, had a spin there.
I believe that's Steve Salas, so not good news for the driver of number 27.
Looks like he just got the power down too early. I don't think he had any help going around there.
That's why they call it Hell Corner, I suppose. Tricky to get it just right. Fortunately, Salas doesn't hit the wall. He's able to continue to go again. By the way, for those of you new tuning in to the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for the first time, you'll notice a lot of the liveries on the cars out here are actually based off of the 1982 Formula One World Championship this season.
Yeah, a lot of
I take that back, 1981.
Yeah, a lot of nostalgic schemes out here for the older F1 fans.
Good little scrap going on for ninth place here with two cars still painted up like the old John Player Special Lotus that the 1978 Lotus 79 was. Julian Fleury holding on ahead of John Stevens. Right behind him, Sean Wiltshire, who has worked his way up to 13th, up from 13th to 11th, 9th, not too far away from him.
Yeah, this is a good example of just as large and long as this racetrack is, you would expect just a lot more passing, but it is just so difficult around these blind corners and so early in the race. You just don't want to take those risks, and these three right now, nose to tail, going uphill, they can't see anything ahead of them.
Yeah, good news when you're going up a hill, of course, is even if you do overshoot the turn, you have kind of a gravity helping you slow down before you hit a barrier. I always find the trickier part of a mountain section when I race around here on iRacing, Nick. Oh, to be going down the hill, although Sean Wiltshire almost proves completely opposite there, making a big mistake. Uh-oh, look, Nora Lumpy has had a spin. We've been running in third, he's dropped back to fourth. Amazing the amount of single car spins we've seen today, Nick, with the drivers getting away with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, just great reaction times from the drivers behind him. There shouldn't be anywhere to go to get around Nora Lumpy there in a situation like that, or any other driver for that matter, but not a good place on the racetrack at all to have a single car spin, because there's almost no way that it's going to be single car, but yeah, we've seen a lot of them get away with it so far.
Yeah, see, one driver who wasn't as fortunate here is Sergio Fernandez, and he is carrying a bit of rear wind damage on his way back to the pits right now. And maybe this onboard from Braden Cohen will tell us where that rear wind damage came from. But these drivers don't have to pit for tyres, they don't have to pit for fuel. So if you can cope with any damage you get, it is obviously to your advantage to continue to race out there.
Yeah, absolutely. A pit stop would be, I mean, it's a long race, so you have to expect other people are going to have incidents, but not 35 drivers. 35 drivers are not all going to have damage by the end of this. You got to stay out there if you can, at least run a few laps and see how badly it is and if it's salvageable at all, but you don't want to end your run this early in the race.
You know, Trevor Kelly is our first official retirement from the race. John Hughes. Uh-oh, Wiltshire might join him, unfortunately. He spins, gets in the wall, no free repairs. He might just have a crinkled nose, though. He might be able to get away with that.
Yeah, that was another case. It looked like...
Oh. See what happened there? It looked like he might have got away with it, Nick, but then he tried to cross the circuit.
Of course, running in the top 10, you want to keep as many positions as you want. Yeah. And then you see Philip Lake get into him, but...
Oh, more trouble for Nora Lumpy. And, he actually had to tow to the pits. He's came back out. Oh, this is what happened. Again, it Ron all on his own once again.
Wow. Yeah, and he just let everyone know in the voice chat that his day was over. So, a disappointing for sure day for Johan Nora Lumpy. Had a great qualifying run, was great in practice, but wasn't able to keep that momentum going today in the race.
Yeah, well, we won the opening 3 rounds of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship and also won last week at Nürburgring, helped, of course, by a chaotic turn 1, lap 1 incident that he was able to avoid. Unfortunately, not so fortunate this week at the mountain.
Yeah, and back up front, Nuno Moreira not too far off of Friesch. I was expecting after 7 laps maybe Friesch to pull away, but no, Moreira's kept him in his sights for sure. And, you know, I just expect him down Conrad Straight or up Mountain Straight one of these laps to be able to pull side by side with him if he wants to go for it.
So as the laps wear on, we're starting to have a few more drivers fall by the wayside. Steve Sales, Paulo Alberton, Lauren Doolittle, Trevor Kelly and John Hughes are all being shown off of a lead lap, which is a very bad sign around here because that means you're over 2 minutes behind the leader. Even if you can get back out, you're pretty much just salvaging what you can out there. One of our, in fact, 2 of our bigger movers throughout the race are running in 13th and 14th. Barry West started 21st and has been able to move up 8 spots. Luke Kin, 22nd, 14th. But the biggest mover of all out there, no, it would be those 2, I believe. At least in the top half of the field.
Yeah, you were saying all of the drivers that are a lap down. It's not good that you're 2 minutes behind, but it's great that your car is still running. I mean, we just saw how quickly someone's day can come to an end, like Nora Lampy, and you know, the fact that your car's still running out there, you might be running 28th or 29th, you could still be on par for a top 20 day with all of the chaos that is bound to happen here at Bathurst.
We talked earlier when Nora Lampy was having these issues from second place, that was allowing Gernot Friesch to kind of run away with it a bit. Well, Moreira's caught him. So these 2 still nose to tail, and if I recall correctly, these 2 don't have the best of histories.
Yeah, I don't think Bathurst is a great track to try to settle any past disputes either. It's not a very friendly racetrack historically.
That's right. It's Nora Lampy. It's Nora Lampy and Moreira who have gotten into each other a couple of times before, but it was Friesch and Moreira who last week at the Nürburgring got into each other in turn number 1. And I wonder if they've had time to discuss that, or if they just called it a racing incident and race on. One thing's for sure, though, these 2 are definitely the class of the field right now, and Philip Blake in trouble. A lot of damage to the rear end of that number 6 car.
Yeah, it looks like he spun out. We've seen a lot of incidents right there today. Very fast part of the racetrack. Looks like he got away with it, just being by himself, though.
I'll wait and see. I'm sure that rear wind damage is not going to help him. He was already carrying a bit of front wind damage. And there you see at the top of your screen right now, Nuno Moreira just set the fastest lap of a race. Now, that'll be reset time and time again because these cars gain more speed as the run goes on. The lighter fuel load is much more of an advantage than what the worn tyres are a disadvantage.
Yeah, not just that, but Moreira's got so much draft and slipstream from Friesch right now that, especially on the straightaways, it's just reeling him in by the second, and he is right on his tail right now.
Again, these 2 have a 4-second advantage over Vandenberg, who's having a really quiet race in 3rd right now, because Vandenberg has a 12-second advantage over Adam Frazier. These top 3, if they can hold on for a podium, they're going to have very well earned it, because they're in a league of their own compared to the cars behind them.
Yeah, when they were coming up the mountain just now, Moreira was inches away from the rear end of Friesch, and if he didn't have a great turn there in the dipper, but I don't think that's going to affect him too much. I think he's just going to reel him in right here, and this might be his best chance of the whole race so far to get around him.
they come to the end of Long Straight here. Don't think he's within striking range right now. Keeping half an eye on 5th through 7th as well, because they're all nose to tail. Stefan Beluca ahead of Braden Cohen and Julian Fleury. Cohen has kind of just been picking off a spot at a time, and he's going to come out of here with a good haul of iRating points, to be honest. Even if he's not racing for championship, boost his iRating a bit if he can keep this going, because he has a number 19 on his car, and right now he's running in 6th.
Yeah, that's the great thing about an official iRacing series is not only are you fighting for points like a normal racing series, but you're also fighting for your overall iRating, and just adds some more incentive for some good hard racing with these guys.
And even though, just to tell you the quality of his field, even though Cohen has the number 19 on his car, which, you know, isn't exactly a stellar number, he has a 2300 iRating, which is pretty decent. So that tells you how good the number 1 through 18 drivers are. Let's play a guessing game for our fans here. Gurno Frisch's number 1 car. What iRating does he have? Place your bets. 8600 is the answer.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. That's my iRacing career. I just, you know, I'm not even considering ever in the future that standard.
Nuno Moreira, meanwhile, running behind him in the number 3 car with an iRating of 6200. Boy, I never thought 6200 would sound so so small. But I'll tell you what, that's not the number Moreira's thinking about right now. He's thinking about the number 1, because he's all over the back of Frisch as they come around to complete lap 10. We're quickly approaching the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, Moreira's got the speed. I wonder if when Moreira gets, or if he gets around Frisch, I wonder if when he gets around, if Frisch is going to have the speed to get right back at him. We might have some great side-by-side racing here, because these guys are, I mean, just identical lap times for the most part. Moreira's a little faster now because he's got the slipstream, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if Moreira gets around him for him to not pull away.
Alright, well, while these two hold station during the mountain portion of the track, let's go back in the midfield where Ove Trandre is working his way back up through the field after the lap 1 collision we saw. He is currently riding in 15th place. He's got a crowd of cars ahead of him, a lot of opportunity to gain some of those spots back.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating to know how fast you are and to be stuck in 15th right now. He's, you know, you're not going to pass two cars at once or anything, but...
Sorry, Sergio Fernandez just pancaked the wall. I'm surprised he got away with it.
Oh yeah, he's got quite a bit of damage. Oh, he already had some, but... Oh yeah, going right up through the mountain.
Yeah, we're watching Ove Trandre take a spot. Now, Fernandez already had some damage. I'm amazed, though, that his 2 left side wheels aren't pushed all the way in after this one. Just completely miss the apex. But he continues, running in 11th place right now. About 2nd or 2 behind, battle for 9th.
Yeah, that rear wing on him cannot be healthy.
And the battle for the lead is on. Moreira challenging to the outside, entering hell. He'll try and get a better run on down the straight here. He's going to be able to do that. And they're going to be side by side, where we saw just a couple of seconds ago Fernandez get this turn wrong when he was running on his own. We've seen highlights of V8 supercars have massive wrecks here in the past, but these two solve it cleanly, with Moreira taking the lead away from Gurno Frisch. Now, of course, Gurno will still be able to have a draft. He's still got half a race to go. This is not over, although it could very well be almost, I could be eating my words there in a hurry, because Frisch will slide in through that left-hander.
Yeah, I don't think Frisch wants to give it up just yet. I think he wants to keep this this hard charge from him going on here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a good catch off of Moreira down Conrad's straight. It's just they've got to be clean down here through the S's though.
Frisch, defending champion. Oh, and now they've got the lap car, Ronnie Bell. So it's taken them half a race to catch the lap car of Johnny Bell, and Russell Hamilton also not too far ahead of them. After that, they actually have about 30 seconds of clean air before they get up to Ollie Prenton running in 21st position. And this will help Frisch a little bit. He's got a nice run on Moreira coming back down into the trace.
Yeah, that definitely helped Frisch there. Moreira had to completely change his optimal line there going through the dipper, and Frisch was able to just keep it normal pace through there and be able to close in on him even more.
Now we're over halfway. 12 laps down, 11 laps left to go. Frisch led the first half of the race. Moreira starts the second half of the race with the lead. Can he lead all of it?
Yeah, not just that, but at the beginning of that last lap, Michael Vandenberg in third place, he had about a 5-second gap to the leaders. It's now about 3.5, 4 seconds instead.
Konieczny attempting a pass on Suarez for 9th. That would have been a bit of a cleaner pass on what he attempted on Trandre earlier on. But he wasn't able to pull it off. Suarez remains in front for now. There was a change for position in 6th place as well. Beluca is in 5th, Flores in 6th, and Cohen now in 7th place. This is Bow for 9th. Rages on down the straight. And Konieczny this time will make the move stick on the outside of Suarez. And there's those two battle that allows the beaten and battered number 16 car, Fernandez, to run them both down.
Yeah, that pass that Konieczny just had, that was identical to the pass Moreira made around Frisch a couple laps ago for the lead. Right around the outside there, going up into the mountain.
Frisch right on the back of Moreira again. As they hit the braking zone, Moreira able to cover him off. I think Frisch gave him a little bit of a break under braking there. Not sure if we see the same move attempted in 10 laps from now, if he might be a bit more ambitious with it. The other thing, as you mentioned, Nick, these two can't afford to scrap too much because they will start losing time to Vandenberg, although I think Vandenberg really got held up by lap traffic at lap. He lost about 4 seconds.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah.
And it's a huge gap on back from Vandenberg to Fraser in 4th.
And even Fraser himself has got to be feeling pretty comfortable. He's got a couple of seconds over Beluca in 5th. That's really when the cars start getting close again. On back from Beluca with Flore in 6th, Cohen in 7th. And John Stevens, haven't mentioned him a whole lot today, but he's out there running in 8th place. Uh-oh. Sergio Fernandez in trouble. We talked about his earlier difficulties have probably made that car hard to handle. Did it finally bite him?
Well, that's not how I expected Fernandez to go around. I expected him to lose it in one of the turns by himself with all that rear wing damage. But on the straightaway, when you get over the curbing there, it'll really throw you.
Again, onboard perspective of a ride he took. Pit road is right there. He probably had a lot of oncoming traffic though while he's in the pits now. I'm not sure he'll be in a hurry to get back out.
And he was having a great run though. I mean, that car should not have been as far up on the leaderboard as he was. So hats off to him. I mean, he was doing a great job trying to drive that thing around there.
So our biggest move in the field, I know we mentioned Barry West, who has gained 10 spots from 21st to 11th. But actually, it looks like our biggest move is one of the last cars left on the lead lap, Ollie Prenton, who has just been staying out of trouble. He didn't turn the lap in qualifying. He started all the way back in 32nd, and now he finds himself in 17th place in the number 29 machine. So, nice job there for Prenton. We'll give him a bit of a shout out, but we'll continue to watch this battle for 9th here, Nick. For 5th even. We've got battle for 9th as well, battle for 5th.
Yeah, Beluca doing a great job right now holding off Flore behind him. Flore had the speed a lot of those last couple of turns, but he was able to hold him off, and they've got some traffic ahead of him as well.
Yeah, that traffic going to pull to the side for them. That's Johnny Bell running just a lap down. He's still able to salvage a top 20 out there, which doesn't sound spectacular until you recall the fact that we had 35 cars start this race. And if you can keep it up there without any more trouble, you might be able to finish in the top half of the field.
Yeah, if I were one of these drivers today, I would be happy just to finish the race, let alone finishing in the top half of the field or even further up than that. But yeah, not an easy task at all to get this car around here for 23 laps with 34 other cars on the same racing surface.
Now, not as close as this, but it's worthy making note of because it's not as close, is the fact that Marira has gapped Gurno Friesch, and I think lap traffic has helped with that a little bit. He's done it by about 2 seconds. So with 8 laps left to go, Friesch has a bit of work to do.
Yeah, and also a thing to note, I just saw Sergio Fernandez call it a day. I believe he's going to be retiring that race car into the garage after all of the troubles he got into.
Ooh, things getting very close for 5th place as they came into turn number 23. Beluca and Flore. I wonder how many drivers actually in these battles we keep going to are just biding their time, Nick, and thinking, okay, there's only 1 or 2 more cars I'm going to get by the end of this thing. I'm going to wait till the last lap and just try and slipstream them on the straight.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, if you're Flore right now, you're not going to make up, what is that? I can't even do the math, 21 seconds to Vandenberg, but you've only got a couple seconds ahead of you to Fraser and Beluca. And you only have, a handful of laps left. We have 8 to go right now, but, you're realistically, unless something severe happens up front to the podium runners right now, you're not going to be able to gain as many spots to challenge for a win or a podium. So, you just got to bide your time and race clean and log off laps and hope that you can get around them in the closing 1 or 2 laps.
And sorry, a couple cars in trouble here. Braden Cohen has had a crash. He was running 7th place. And Ollie Prenton, the driver we gave a shout out for being a big mover, he's also just had got into the walls. Here's what happened to Cohen.
That was a roller coaster ride for Braden Cohen right there.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him. And here's a replay of what happened to Ollie. Another single car error. And this is a bit of a problem, Nick, when it's such a long race like this one and the field's getting spread out. If you get a little bit complacent, make the tiniest of mistakes, the race could go away.
Yeah, you get into a muscle memory rhythm after 23 laps, and you just... This could happen to anyone. Nuno Moreira, Gurno Friesch, they're not immune to this. They have to really... race as hard as they can, and as you see Ollie Prenton trying to limp that 29 car back to pit road.
Which can be sometimes a dangerous thing to do when you're considering how fast leaders are running on down this Conrad Straight.
Yeah, especially right here where he's coming up. That's going to be a blind hill. You're not going to be able to see him after those, after that hill until you get, right there. Like you see right there, Mark Pickford coming around him.
Yeah, and actually have a scrap going on for, I think this is about 13th or 14th place coming up behind him. Glenn Corrigan ahead of Philip Lake. We saw Lake have a bit of trouble early on, and in fact Brenton just pulls off the track and lets those two go by. Glenn Corrigan, I always feel, is one of the easiest cars to spot out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a nice nice livery there for us to be able to find him. And Philip Lake behind him, he's got quite a bit of damage, not only to his front wing but also his rear wing. He's
Oh, battle for 5th is on. See, it had been Beluca ahead.
Fleury got around him.
Fleury, yeah, and Fleury's gone around. So here we go. So he came up the hill here. Renault versus Lotus. Lotus goes ahead.
Yeah, Beluca got loose there. It looked like he might have hit the curbing as Fleury was getting around him, but it looked like that was just another capitalization there for Fleury to get around him cleanly.
So now the question becomes, has Fleury been able to hold anything back? Has he been able to save anything? And the reason I ask that is because Adam Fraser, running in 4th place, is only about 1.5 seconds up the road from him.
Yeah, and a little bit of an update. Ollie Prenton, you said he pulled off to the grass there. It looks like he was just, I thought he was stopping as well, but it looks like he kept going into the grass and just to be a little more safe, but he has just finally now gotten to pit road.
And really, the flies are starting to be swatted around here at Bathurst, because all of a sudden we're down to 14 cars left on the lead lap. Yoni Onella just went a lap down, running in 15th place in the number 26 machine. And Gernot Frisch once again catching him in a less than desirable spot, allowing Moreira to pull away just a little bit further.
Yeah, unless something tragic happens to those top 3 runners, I think the podium as it runs is going to be the podium as it finishes. But still a lot of time. I mean, 6 laps doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that it's, it's quite a bit around here. 2 minutes almost to get around to one of these circuits.
Many of our lead lap battles have been resolved. One of the closest ones still left out there is for 13th that we picked up a little while ago, with Corrigan ahead of Lake. Position 4, of course, still heating up a bit, and Fleury has been able to run down Fraser quite substantially this lap, actually. With 5 laps left to go, this is definitely going to get interesting, because if these two battle too hard, not only could Beluca catch them, but John Stevens in 7th isn't too far behind them either.
Yeah, they know this is going to be the catbird seat, 4th place here. If one of those podium runners makes a mistake, these guys are going to find themselves in the top 3 finishing. So they all want to get as far up as possible, but that just adds a little more incentive that they might possibly be racing for a podium. I mean, they can't bet on the podium making a mistake. They haven't really. They've all 3 of those drivers, Moreira, Frisch, and Vandenberg. They've had awesome races, but I think that just trying to get up as far as possible, and as the laps wind down here, now's the time to go.
Yeah, and they would have to depend on the mistake, because the gap between Vandenberg and Fraser in 3rd and 4th positions respectively is now 25 seconds. I mean, top 3 could probably get away with paying for tyres if they wanted.
Well, I don't know if they could. Don't know if they could go that far, but it'd be interesting to see.
The 14 cars left on the lead lap. And talk about attrition, only 3 cars 1 lap down now, Anella, Hamilton and Bell. Now, fortunately, our fears were not confirmed at the start of the race. We didn't have an ugly first lap. Just saw 1 or 2 minor incidents there at the very start of the race. Never saw a multi-car pile-up. We've just had a lot of solo spins out here today, Nicholas. and a lot of the drivers, with the walls being so close by, unfortunately have fallen by the wayside when they've gotten unlucky with those spins.
Yeah, and I think I'm just as surprised as you and all of our great viewers that have tuned in today are to see that. I think everyone was expecting, you know, the big one on lap 1 to ensue, maybe down in Hell Corner or up through the S's or anywhere on the track. But no, racing very cleanly today. I mean, biggest crash we've had today was 2 cars.
So far.
Yeah, I should add that little anecdote there. I mean, 4 laps to go, so it's going to get heated here.
Well, Moreira, Prix and Vandenberg hoping it doesn't get heated. Well, Prix might be, because then that means Moreira made a mistake or something. The top 3 pretty much seems set between now and the end of the race, which is only 3.5 laps away. 4th on Batco, still up for grabs, with Fleuret having run down Fraser. He hasn't done anything with him yet, but he could just be biding his time. We talk about the great runs you can get on down the Comrade Straight, and you could save that even for the final lap, and maybe he'll be able to make something happen there.
Yeah, still a little bit of time left, but I don't see much happening here unless, like you said back here with Fleuret, but on the Conrad straightaway. But I just don't. Oh, was really loose there for Fraser. That might open some things up.
Yeah, we took a look at. Well, hold on, let's see what happens here, because Fleuret's definitely going to have a nice run on Fraser here now as they come on down to the trace at the end of the Comrade Straight here. 170 miles an hour, gets in the grass. Oh,
could have been the end of Fleuret's day there.
Yeah, fortunately, he holds on to it. He'll have another chance. You notice when we pulled up the weather earlier, we do have a pretty strong wind here today. It's about 10 miles an hour coming from the west, but that doesn't really affect these drivers too much on the long straights. It's a headwind where they are right now, coming into Hell Corner, but once they get back out here on the Mountain Straight and also on the Conrad Straight, it's kind of just coming from the side, you know, not really helping with the slipstream at all.
Yeah, it's not helping or hurting them too much, except maybe for the straight line handling a little bit. It's coming from their left side on the Conrad straightaway and their right side going up the mountain straight. But you know, if that was a 13-mile-an-hour tailwind or a headwind, that would definitely throw a lot of guys in their slipstream off.
And as the miles start to wind down, though granted, even with 2.5 laps left to go, there's still a lot of racing action for this scrap for 4th place. Who, by the way, these two have been able to pull away from Beluca a little bit in 6th now. In fact, Beluca might have to worry more about the pressure coming from behind in the form of John Stevens. It's been well documented at that point who our top 7 are. Let's give a shout out to the drivers rounding out the top 10 right now. Peter Koniski in 14th, Pablo Lombardo Suarez in 15th, and Barry West all the way from 21st up to 10th. If he can hold on to that, I'm sure he'll be delighted to come talk to us after the race. Always good chatting with Barry West in our post-race show.
Yeah, Barry West started 21st and right now 10th. So, you know, these guys back here, we're talking about 8th, 9th, and 10th places. They, you know, they're only 8th, 9th, and 10th, but they have been possibly the ones to stay out of chaos the most. I mean, if you start in the top 3 or 4, you're going to stay up there if there's no chaos within yourselves. But, you know, these guys are the ones that had to really get around all the incidents and get around the slower traffic. And they've worked quite hard today to get to where they are.
But you see, Barry West might not be able to hold on to this because that's Ove Trantre behind him. And let's not forget, Trantre is only back there because of a lap 1 incident. He's been having a comeback race all day long. And in fact, he was almost a second faster than West last lap around. And let's see if we will see a change for 10th position before the checkered flies in 2 laps' time.
Yeah, Trandray's sitting right where he started right now in 11th place, but as soon as the lights went out at the start of the race, Trandray went up and looked real fast, like he was going to slice and dice up through the field. Got in the incident and dropped back, but now he's back right where he started. But definitely would be an accomplishment for him if he could get back up in the top 10 to complete that comeback.
Well, surviving Bathurst is always an accomplishment, and Moreira is just 4 miles away from doing that before than anyone else as he comes out of a final turn to start the final lap.
Yeah, the battle for 4th right now, Fraser and Fleuret. Fraser, that tightened up just a little bit, and right now on their Conrad straightaway, it's stretching out further, but that's definitely the battle to watch for, I think, here on the final lap here. Fleuret looking to see if he can get around him, but I think he's going to wait until the white flag to drop to do that.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of good battles as they, in fact, come into their white flag right now. We're going to see a lot of good battles going down into the chase on the final lap, even so much as a lap down. Russell Hamilton and Johnny Bell, 16th and 17th, running nose to tail. It'll be interesting seeing who ends up coming out the victors in these little scraps we still have going on around the track. 10th place is a battle, 6th place is a battle. In fact, 10th place is on right now. Trandray is making a move at the turn where it went south for him earlier. But Barry West a bit early on the brakes and Trandray
off the track.
deep.
Yeah, just fighting for everything you have here at the end. You got to go for it. You got to just eat the 1X there off track. That's fine with these guys on the last lap. They just got to go for it, and especially top 10 bragging rights. You know, Trandray, nothing else he could have done there.
Got a little bit closer going into the final turn. The next driver about to come through the final turn is the driver of this number 3 car, Nuno Moreira, qualified 3rd. And after Nora Lampi had his mistakes, Moreira was able to run down Frisch, make the pass, pull away from him. Something hard to do with at the track here, such as Bathurst. But Moreira did it, and he's going to take a victory here at Mount Panorama.
And Frisch is going to come home in 2nd, and it looks like Vandenberg going to come home in 3rd, but looks like Adam Fraser definitely under pressure here from Julien Fleuret for that 4th place position.
Oh, and boy, Fleuret says, I want this side, and Fraser didn't really expect him to go that way. There wasn't a whole lot of room over there. Fleuret way too deep.
Fleuret locked it up and went off the track, and he's going to lose more positions, I believe.
Well, it depends. Does he have to serve a slowdown? I don't think he does. No, he'll be able to hold on the 5th. All right, next battle coming to the line is for 10th. Barry West and Nove Trandray.
Barry West going to have to... not much he can do coming down Conrad straightaway right now. He's just going to have to sit there and hope that Trandray makes a mistake, because Trandray is going to have a run.
Yeah, Trandray got the run, got by him. He will get 10th place and pushes Barry West back to 11th. Meanwhile, behind them, the last drive on the lead lap, we didn't give him a shout out all race long after his poor qualifying effort. Well done, Mark Pickford, on making it through. He'll come home in 12th. And the battle for 16th has been resolved. Johnny Bell was able to pull away from Russell Hamilton. So that's pretty much going to wrap up all our racing action here from Mount Panorama. But stick around. We're going to have drive interviews and a full field rundown here on the GSRC. There are 35 drivers. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't memorize where all of them finished. Hello and welcome back to Mount Panorama, where we just wrapped up round 6 of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship. May have seen we called a replay there after the race had finished of what happened to one of our lead lap drivers on the final lap. Remember, there was a battle going on for 6th place between Beluca and John Stevens. Well, it all went south at the top of a mountain as Stevens makes an error, gets in a wall. He was still able to come across the line in 7th place, though, Nick.
Yeah, great recovery by John Stevens there. I mean, running 7th, I mean, he was sideways and stopped for a couple of moments there. You know, great job by him to not lose anything. He's still going to end up 7th as you see him just, you know, going by your casual overturned car there. But
yeah, that was Droney Anella, and unfortunately that cost Droney a couple of positions as well, I believe. He came home in 17th. Let's give you a full race rundown here, starting with our race victor today, Nuno Moreira. The margin of victory when it was all said and done was over 5 seconds back to Gernot Frisch. Michael Vandenberg had a quiet race, but sometimes you kind of want that, especially at a track here like Mount Panorama. And he comes home in 3rd, over half a minute ahead of Adam Fraser in 4th. Julien Fleuret rounded out the top 5 after a late race battle with Fraser. Stefan Beluca came home in 6th, and then of course Stevens, we saw what happened to him, he finished in 7th. Peter Konieczny didn't have a great opening lap, but brought it home all right in 8th place ahead of Pablo Lombora Suarez and Ove Trantere, who definitely did not have a great opening lap, but salvaged a top 10.
yeah, Barry West and Mark Pickford, they're 11th and 12th. They're going to be the last ones on the lead lap today. Then we had 4 drivers a lap down. Glenn Corrigan, Philip Lake, Johnny Bell in 15th, and Russell Hamilton there in 16th. 2 laps down was just Yoni Anella after that last lap incident where we saw him on his lid. And 18th is going to go to Duncan McClellan, 3 laps down, as well as Steven Sarles, 3 laps down in 19th, and 8 laps down in 20th, Braden Cohen.
Yeah, so these are all drivers who ran into difficulty, like Ollie Prenton, who was our big mover at some stage of the race. That being said, he still finishes 11 positions ahead of where he qualified. Jean-Francois Matt ranks in 22nd at the end, ahead of Sergio Fernandez, whose car pretty much took a beating until it couldn't take it anymore and finishes in 23rd. Luke Kin, 24th, ahead of Pepe Vasquez Martinez in 25th. Fabio Guerrero, Francisco Javier Gutierrez, and let's just round out the field here. Sean Wiltshire, Juha Noralampi, Charles Eric Lebelin, Eric Smith, Paulo Albertson, Lauren Doolittle, Trevor Kelly, and John Huser. So, those are the drivers who will want to forget today's race. Let's talk to the drivers who I'm sure are quite delighted with how it went, beginning with our race winner, Nuno Moreira. Let our director let him in the broadcast booth right here, and we'll get to talk to Moreira. Congratulations, Nuno, on the great victory out there today.
Hey, hello, Samuel. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. It was indeed a very interesting race in an awesome circuit.
How does this car race for this track? I've got to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen the Lotus 79 on Bathurst before, but it looked like an interesting combination.
I think, Samuel, it's a bit more than interesting. It's actually, if I would risk to say it is the best combo for the Lotus. It's that track that doesn't allow you to lie to yourself in a good sense, if there is a way to say this. But if you fail, you have a wall. So there's no way you cannot misjudge, you cannot lie to yourself. It's just you, and the track is the number 1 opponent here. And you can see from the top 3 guys that or 5, I think 5, with 0 mistakes. That tells you, or 0 incidents. That tells you how experienced these guys are and how cautious we have to be to conquer this track. There's no way for rush and push here. It's actually, you need to be really, really fast and also really, really safe and secure and competent here.
Now, a 35 car field, it was right on the verge of being a split race. Obviously, that didn't affect your race up front a whole lot? You know, you will still have to fight off the likes of Gurno Frisch and Juha Noralampi, but you did also have to deal with a lot of lap traffic. How difficult was that today when you caught them on the mountain?
Well, actually, and to be honest, it's more difficult to deal with lapped cars than actually with Gernot or even Juha. Gernot is, well, we know is the best of us racing, and is the guy that you can race with 100% confidence, and you know that 99.9 of the times things will go correctly. With you, it's not so much, but he's not lap traffic, so I do not expect him to be so random. But he did do a bit of mistakes here. I guess he was too pressured by the walls or by the circuit. It's not an easy one, this one. So then lap traffic is a real challenge here, and we need to be very, very careful, like lifting and giving a lot of space, because these guys are, I don't know, in difficulties, in trouble, and if a car touches the wall and spins in front of you, you cannot do anything. So it's really tricky.
Well, you're able to navigate your way through a little bit of carnage out towards the tail end of the field there today, Nuno, but a great race up front. You won by 5 seconds at the end of the thing, so it's definitely a statement there. And hope to see you back at Road America next week.
Hopefully, I'll be able to race there too. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great week.
All right, well, that was our race winner, Nuno Moreira, finishing just a few seconds behind him at the line. Nick, you've caught up with Gurno.
Yeah, I've absolutely caught up with Gurno Frisch here, down here in the pits. P2 today for you. I mean, you ran a great race. Just talk me through how chaotic 35 cars at one of the toughest racetracks, blind corners, full field. Talk me through how chaotic it was today.
Yeah, hi Nick. It's always chaotic here. It's one of the toughest track car combos that I can imagine, but it's really challenging to drive. So it's one of my personal favorites. I have to admit I was a little bit concerned before the race when I saw there were 35 cars and with a huge variation of different skilled drivers. But in the end, it all went pretty well. So yeah, quality of driving was really good in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone had a very clean first lap. We were talking about biggest wreck we saw today was, I think, 2 cars, which was very unexpected. So you started up front, and how was your battle there with Moreira? You lost the lead, and I mean, you held him for a few laps, and then he was able to pull away. How was that?
Actually, I was surprised to be in pole position because I knew Nuno was the fastest of us this week. So yeah, I was lucky to start from the pole. Then yeah, I knew it would have to be a defensive battle for me, and I didn't really see a good chance to hold him behind me for the whole race. So in the end, I made it a little bit too easy for him because I made a mistake coming in the final corner, and then he was getting by too easily, and yeah, I had maybe a little chance to get the position back with lap traffic, but yeah, in the end, Nuno deserved that one. He was clearly the fastest guy.
Yeah, he may have been faster, but you absolutely put up a stellar fight against him. Well, the good news I have for you is you can all take a break. You can all take a breath, at least. There's a lot less tight racing next week. Road America, how you feeling going in there?
It's also a really good track for the Lotus, so I enjoy that usually. It's not that stressful because you have a little bit more room, also room for errors. But it should provide really good action because it's a good track for overtaking as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, and we are likewise looking forward to seeing you there. Anyone you want to give a thank you or a shout out to before we let you go today?
Well, thanks to all drivers in this series. This week was a good example how good the racing is, and thanks to you guys for doing the broadcasts. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. We will see you then.
All right, so that was Nuno Moreira. Now, we don't have our third place driver on the podium here, but we do have a driver with reason to celebrate. Barry West, one of our biggest movers in the field out there today.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Can you hear me okay, Sam?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was a bit annoying at the end. I lost the place to Ove at the end. I mean, he was pressurising me, and I thought I could hold him off. Lap before he tried it after the end of Conrad straight and managed to hold him off, but no, it was just too strong at the end. But I was catching Pablo, and I was going to mount a challenge on Pablo towards the end, and of course Ove was gaining hand over fist, so it was just a matter of trying to defend the position. But I'm still happy with the P11 from where I started. Peter Kuznetsi, we had a good race the other day, and he's got a bit more pace than what he had the other day. But yeah, once I lost touch with Peter, that was it. And Sergey's as well. He had an incident. Of course, I had to lift a few times through the mountain for incidents. Unfortunately, managed to survive. One nasty one, Sean Wiltshire was across the track, and I just managed to squeeze through the side without any damage. But yeah, that was an entertaining race. Yeah, very hard. You lose 1 second, you lose your focus for, and that's it, you're in the wall, aren't you? It's such a difficult track, and I just wasn't confident. I mean, I was confident about 56, 57s, but didn't want to push any more because I knew what I'd end up in the wall.
Now, you qualified 21st out of 35 cars. Obviously, that's not as bad as qualifying 21st out of 21 cars. We had a big field out here today with a lot of big names. But did you expect to be that far back at the start?
No, to be fair, I messed up the second lap. I didn't hit the wall, but I just realised I'd lost so much time to got into a big slide. So I just concentrate on the race setup. Then I went back and put fuel in and practiced a few laps. So yeah, I never seem to qualify. I always seem to race better than my qualifying position, but I just need to concentrate on qualifying. I mean, to be fair, I've done 3 races this week, but I haven't done hardly any practice at all. I mean, the first race was like my practice, so I know some of the guys, they put lots of hours in, and it's just having to find the time to do these hours. But yeah, I'm just happy with keeping it on the track.
Well, Road America is coming up next week. A bit more of a simpler track, but produces a lot of great racing and passing opportunities. Maybe we'll see you make your way up through the field again there next week.
Hopefully. Thanks, Sam. Cheers.
All right, and that was Barry West finishing in 11th place here today. Well, Nick, we were all expecting at the start of a race, and I think some of the drivers were expecting it too. A little bit of chaos. Fortunately, first couple of laps were quite calm. Things got a bit dramatic towards the end of the race, but at the end of the day, saw a great little scrap up front and a well-deserved victory for Moreira.
Absolutely. I always tell my non-race fan friends, that you can have a great race without a whole bunch of wrecks, and that was case in point right there. That was a great race there. Very clean, but very aggressive racing, and awesome day for those guys up on the podium.
And we will get to see them all do it again next week at Road America. You can take any kind pretty much the same thing here at Bathurst. You can take pretty much any kind of race car there and put on a great show. Anyway, we got a few people we would like to thank. And one of them is not myself, who forgot that I still had to do this part of the script and threw the piece of paper away on the desk. Here we go. All right, we would like to thank all of the organisers and the competitors from the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for choosing GSRC. Of course, we would also like to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. And there we are about to list them all on your screen today for you. Additional thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde to provide us with our great music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so check those out. Mark them down in your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.